How are you doing today? We trust that everything is going according to plan as you move forward in the year. And we are so grateful that you have stopped by to enjoy another edition of the Coach's Corner. And my name is Marcus Saletta. Surely I have my issues, both personally and professionally, no doubt about it. But I bring to the table some wisdoms and some understandings that may help you along the path. And I trust that the scars from my journey in life will earn me the right to speak into your life. And so today we're going to be talking about a love that just won't quit. And I pray that you will be encouraged as we have been doing many sessions on love, the secrets to love, and finding love. There's a love that just won't quit. We'll talk about that a little bit. Thanks so much for those on Spreaker, Voicecast, iBroadcast TV, Blog Talk Radio, Ustream, Facebook, YouTube, on our block radio programming, SIBN radio-by-selectusatv.com. Thank you so very much for joining us. We appreciate you. And Spreaker, thank you too. Well, here we are once again on another journey. Going to be very brief today, talking about a love that won't quit. A love that won't quit. Assuredly, we know we're talking about Agape because that is the unconditional platform of love that requires not the sense realm, but the faith realm. Always remember that if you really want to switch gears on love, then what you would need to do is you would need to switch operation model. Operation model would have to be from sense realm, what I feel, touch, hear, smell, and all that, to a spiritually based love. A spiritually based, I'm not talking about the spooky stuff where you talk the game and you talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. I'm not talking about all that. I'm just talking about moving beyond. Now this thing, and let's just make a note of it right here, that the unconditional love isn't stupid. I mean, one time people, just walked up to Jesus once and they wanted to, take action. And Jesus' reply was, look, now no man takes my life, but I'll lay it down, you see. And so, when we start talking about, switching gears from the sense realm to the spiritual realm, we're not giving people a license to treat us any kind of way. It just simply means that from our operation standpoint, we no longer depend on the ingredients of what we can see, touch, feel, taste, and beyond. But we have committed to a more principle-based love. See, the love that I was using, or even the love that you still have to use. You still have to use phileo and storge and all these other loves that we talked about in some of the other sessions. You'll have to go back and listen to the whole series. But even though we use those other loves, we anchor ourselves in Agape because we know that we are going to run the risk. As long as we're in this earth and we're interacting with humans, we're interacting with people, we're interacting with women and men and boys and children and uncles and aunties, bosses and employers and partners. We know that as long as we interact with humans, we are taking a risk. Love is risk. Because the love is to be vulnerable, to be open, to be sensitive, to reach out, you see. So we know that we're going to be vulnerable. We know that we're going to take risk. It wasn't bad enough that Jesus died on the cross, for those that believe, but then he had to gamble away his clothes. Can you help me with that? It goes to the core of the heart of man. And so the love that won't quit is the love that is shedded abroad in our hearts by, I hate to go there, but by the Holy Spirit. And this is not a Bible study, still inspirational, motivational. Don't run away. We're going to be starting our Bible study back up on another channel, but this is still motivational. Get you moving, get you to the finish line. But the love that this agape now, for those that believe, is shedded abroad already in our hearts as a form of a seed, in seed form. We water it through obedience and submission, right? And this gives us the wisdoms to operate in the priorities of love. In the priorities of love. There's a lot of people caught up in the romanticism of love because they never felt special. I mean, I'm just going to tell you straight. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. When you finally commit to a covenant of love, whether it be to a child to their parent, or a husband to the wife, a wife to the husband, a brother honoring the sister, sister honoring her brother, you know, anything covenant, that's what it means. Covenant is not just marriage, but covenant is also honoring the family, the family dynamic by which it was set up, as long it is not bringing you detriment or harm. And when you honor that from a agape perspective, you're operating in faith so that you could take advantage of the unlimited resources that love has. But there's a lot of people caught up in the romantics of love. And I always say it's the lowest form of expression, eros. To take your body and to mesh it with another, or to take someone's virginity, or to interact in a sexual nature or sensual nature of any kind is the lowest form of expression. The highest form of expressing love is to love someone without conditions, and also to love them with the intention and to follow up the activity of giving them the gift of all time and not take their gifts. The lowest form of expression is the culmination, what was intended to be the culmination of covenant, the culmination of connection. We made it something else, but that's another show. And so if you're listening to me and the sensual is all that you have experienced, perhaps you have your reasons. But reasoning doesn't stand up to agape, because agape loves you anyway. That's the love that won't quit. You see, I was talking to my dad, and we were talking about grace and sin. And we know that people don't talk about mistakes, sin, transgression anymore. People don't even admit that they're wrong anymore. I don't know what is going on. The arrogance that we are surrounded with is absolutely mind-boggling. But the heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it, right? The point of the matter is this. Where there is conditions, there is more agape than you realize. In other words, if you have been judged, if you have been criticized, if you've been ostracized, if you have not been celebrated but just tolerated and all those other things, agape is there for you, but you have to reach out by faith to receive it. It's already a seed in you for those that believe. And I think there's even a measure of love in every man. A measure of love. It's like there's a measure of faith. That's just my own personal belief. There's a measure of faith. There's a measure of love in every man. But he has to cultivate it. And the love that won't quit doesn't. It's man, I'm telling you. One of my favorite thoughts is this: the resources of agape are so vast they can never be exhausted, but only those who travel by faith can access them. The resources of unconditional or agape love can never be exhausted, but only those who are willing to put down their sense-based living and their sensual-based preferences and tap into the faith that is required to access and maintain any kind of perception operating under and from and through agape. Those resources are vast. Only those who have the faith, an example of that is forgiving and forgetting. If you're not walking in agape, you ain't going to forget nothing. You're going to have a get back. I had a get back spirit when I was growing up. I'll let you go on for about 12 months. When you totally didn't forget about the instant, then here I come. Old gangster type. That's the old gangster, the old gangster type. Grew up in the Huff District of Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, right now you want to start over. You want to find love. Let's go back to the basics now. You want to find love. And I think I mentioned an experience of how that when you first walk in Agape and you get that healing and that wholesome and that understanding, it's mind-boggling. But let me warn you, it's addictive. And it's even, not only is it addictive, but it's also man, you have, as a human in the earth, you have to dance on the principle. Stand on the principle of agape, but you have to carry out your activities and those other loves that were mentioned in other sessions. Storge, for those that are married, eros, and on and on and on. I know, I'm a little old fashioned. You just don't charge it to my head, charge it to my heart, okay? But, that's another teaching that I'm going to do soon, called Sex in Context. There's a series on the web that talks about sex. I did a series, I think in 2010 or something like that, 2011, on sex. So if you Google it, you might find it. It's a very high rated series, a lot of views. I think it's on Ustream. But I just want to encourage you that if you're trying to be healed, you're going to have to walk into agape. In other words, you're going to do several things, and it's difficult. These are difficult things. These are lifetime journeys, okay? So don't think that we're not being sensitive here. You're going to have to walk by faith regarding forgiving yourself. It's the hardest thing I've ever seen. It's the hardest thing for some reason to forgive yourself, but you work on it. You start on it, work on it. Talking about love now. See, because for the love that you find represents the love that you've defined. You're never going to find anything outside what you're willing to define. And you don't want to forgive yourself means that, that coupled with several other, handful of things is going to lead you to someone who is not going to cultivate the unconditional love with you. You have to be integral on the inside out and at least be honest. Not saying everything got to be fixed, but at least have had an honest conversation with yourself and begin to have that with your potential partner, potential or your covenant opposite, be it your mother, your father, whatever the case may be. See. But you only find the love that you're willing to define in your own personal life. If you're gonna be blind to the truth, you're not gonna find truth and love. You may feel that it's true, it may feel right, but trust me, agape doesn't walk by any feelings. Agape doesn't care anything about any feelings. Agape doesn't care anything about an intellect, because agape is not based on what's intellectually acceptable. You understand? Agape is not based on what's reasonable. Agape is based on eternal truths. Agape is based on the invisible, the intangible. I felt something push me right there. You understand what I mean? So if you want to find love in your life, first you have to practice. Somehow or another you got to practice, even if you just start with the integrity test and be honest and be open and be, as they say, used to say in the church, and be naked before God and simply tell the truth. I put your name in there. Promise, we don't want to swear, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. When was the last time you told the truth? When was the last time? The love that won't quit is not going to let you live a lie and tell you that is your life. That's a love that won't quit. The truth keeps peeking back up, poking back at you, frustrating your journey, agitating your thoughts. Why? Because it's now time for you to embrace the love that hasn't and will not quit on you. And some of you have tapped into that, but now you have gone overboard. Let me speak to the other half. You've tapped into agape, but now you're no earthly good to walk in storge or to walk in eros when under the right conditions, and to walk in any of other love. In other words, you have tapped into such the juice of agape, you know what I'm saying, that now nobody would want to marry you because you're too high and mighty. Nobody would want to get with you because you're too cocky. You're confident. Oh my goodness, your confidence have turned into cockiness. And so nobody want to get with you, even though you're fine or you're handsome or you have great but no one is even thinking about you because of there's an arrogance there. There's an arrogance there. Maybe it's based on your accomplishments. Maybe it's based on your past. You done had a bunch of women, a bunch of men, and now you done turned your life around, and you feel like you're highly favored and all that there. But let me tell you something. Still remember what I said. When you're walking in agape love, this is the premise from which we stand. All other loves still apply respectively. I remember one time I was reading a scripture that says, if you're going to have faith and never falter, you have to add things to it. There are additives for faith to work. Faith worketh by love. That's one additive. Faith worketh by self-control. That's another additive. Faith worketh by hospitality. That's another additive. Faith worketh by affection, brotherly affection. There's a love. I said faith worketh by love, but later on Peter breaks it down into faith worketh by brotherly affection, by being affectionate towards your brethren, whoever they may be. You see. Affection requires humility. Humility requires sensitivity. Sensitivity requires that I know my vulnerability. Vulnerability requires that I understand the wisdom of the matter, that I'm not all that in a bag of chips, except that the fact that I am now whole because of the agape love, of which it didn't spring originally from me, but I have received the seed of agape love, and from which I stand, I activate all other loves respectively in my life so that I am balanced. And I'm not acting weird and cuckoo and super religious and super pious and so high and mighty that if somebody turn on some R&B from some of these, what the kids like to listen to, you'll freak out. That's how you know you're overboard, because if somebody cuss in your presence or something weird goes down, you'll start your ramblings of your scriptures. Oh, it'll be hard for you to sit there and take it. But you'll take it on the job, though. When the boss cuss you out, you'll take it. But you know what I'm saying? We got to just be balanced and be honest. Because the love that won't quit is never going to let you go. On the sound of my voice right now, some of you are just downright depressed. I got to find me a man. I got to find me a man. Well, you're never going to find what you can't define. You're never going to find what you can't define. And the definition has to begin with you. And this is a journey. This is a life journey. This is I promise you, if you hear me on the microphone, I am the miracle that no one never expected. Trust me on that. If you hear me on the microphone, I am the miracle that wasn't expected. I am the most uncommon and unlikely person to be speaking on these issues. I felt, if I just close it out with a personal story, I felt the ultimate rejection in 10 ways flat as a child. I did not see my way out. For me, dying was the only answer. And some of you know what I'm talking about. You just say, you know what, maybe if I'm not here, maybe that'll make it better. The hostility did not spring from me. It sprung up around me. I just so happened to be the bullseye target. And to be frank with you, and I had been thinking about this, that I just wanted to tell you that there's a language of love in the earth today. It has nothing to do with God, has nothing to do with the love that won't quit, that just says, I'll die. There's a self-destructive love in the earth today. It says, I'll die. I'll do anything to escape the pain. I'll do anything to escape the pain. I've had enough, and I don't care anymore. That's why Agape is the love that won't quit, because its resources can never be spent. As you move forward in your life, there's a love that erases misery and strife. And don't tell me that you have not thought about it. Don't tell me that you haven't inquired. Because agape love, once you know its ingredients, is the first love desired. There are those who would break down the walls if they knew what agape has inside. But they keep on riding on, the journey of all these other loves. And assuredly, it takes them for a ride. But I want you to know, and I want you to understand, that if you want to find love, you've got to define love. What better place to start than at the feet of agape? Because if somebody else hasn't rejected you, you have. You've rejected your purpose. Anytime you wrap your life completely around sensuality, you've lost your purpose, ma'am. Dude, anytime you wrap your life around how you feel, you've lost your purpose. Anytime you wrap your life around your next sexual experience, you've lost your purpose. You are not in your lane. You can't finish that way. And that's why agape is even there for you, for me. It won't quit. Trust me, I tried to get it to quit. I was like, God, you wasting your time on me. Even though I want to be free, there is no way your love can help. Just put me on the shelf. I cannot fulfill what you expect. Because in my life as a child, I didn't get respect. I was like, God, you are wasting your time on me. Please end my journey. I used to pray that. God, when I wake up in the morning, I want to be in heaven. I do not want to be here. But that love wouldn't quit. I remember one time I was in a parking lot many years ago, and a drunk man spoke to me. Then that Sunday when I went to church, someone said, if God wants to reach you, he'll use the unimaginable. And so I was talking to someone, and I said, but the drunk man told me X, Y, and Z. He said, that was God. That was the Lord. That was the Lord loving on you through the nonsense of a drunken man. Imagine that. One time I was somewhere, this was many years ago, and a dog came up to me. Sat down and started licking on my hand. You'd be surprised how God would try to soothe you and to get your attention to look his way and to embrace what he has, because you can't define all what he has until you step over into it by faith. But I promise you, if you're willing to give it a try, because all this other stuff is going to be empty. These other loves that we exercise as part of the human experience have to be in context with a love that has no conditions. Acceptance is not even the base of this love. This love says, You are. You can do. You can be. We're not talking about be, do, and are the things that bring satisfaction to yourself and make you, quote unquote, happy. No, we're going deeper than that. We're going deeper than that. Agape takes you deeper to heal you first so that Storge can work. In perspective, Agape soothes you and dresses you and soothes your wounds so that if you're married, Eros can work. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about, okay? You want to step in that swimming pool of Agape. You want to go on ahead and let it get you really, 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 really ready. The first thing you're going to have to do is stop bleeding all over the place. Some of y'all, you're bleeding everywhere you turn. You're bleeding everywhere. And how do you know you're bleeding? You go off every chance you get. You're quick with the mouth. You straighten everybody out, as they say in Decatur. Everybody. You brag all the time. You in charge, large and in charge. See, Agape's experience is a settling one. It doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. It just is. And you got to dive in that. You got to dive in that journey right there, man, by faith. And those of you that are there, you got to now start balancing yourself out. If you want a husband, you gonna have to step up off that Agape right there and start putting that thing into practice and show some affection, show some sensitivity. And don't cross the line now. Some of y'all just go to both extremes. It don't matter. It's what we say. Y'all go to both extremes because that's your nature to test everything. But don't go to the extreme. Don't cross the line. It was a story of this lady as I close. There's a story of this lady who kept her virginity. She made a vow to the Lord. And she she reestablished. I'll just say reestablished herself. I know some of y'all laughing. She reestablished herself sexually to be abstinent. And for 14 years. Some of y'all saying like, what? For 14 years, she reestablished her sexual preference to be abstinent. Abstinent. I think I'm saying it right. I get tongue-tied every day. I have not had coffee this morning, this evening, this afternoon, whenever you may be listening. I did not grab my coffee. All right. But then she finally met somebody, through the encouragement of, all of her friends and everything. She finally met somebody. And she went beyond the line. She went beyond the line. And the report is, she didn't know it at first, that she contracted the AIDS virus. 14 freaking years, excuse my Spanish, French, whatever you want to call it. And then because she crossed the line, she compromised. I'm telling you, we all tempted. Now, don't get it twisted. Everybody face their certain level of temptations in different ways every day. But that's a heavy price to pay for having violated your personal principles. I'm just saying. When she got AIDS, and then she found out the guy was going around having sexual contact with some of everybody, as they say in Decatur, Georgia. Guess what? He was not telling them that he was HIV positive. There's a love that won't quit, dude. Ma'am, it's Agape, from which springs all the other loves in perspective. Whatever you do, take care of yourself. Sounds of your lifestyle improvement station.